greatest show on earth.
Hey guys, welcome to our show, the very first episode of Con Culture Convo. This is basically a pop culture and con or a Comic-Con anime con conversation. This is a podcast about the industry. We are vendors in the industry. My name is Chris Bauer. I've been a vendor for quite a while, just like my buddy Tim Hyde here. Tim, how you doing today?
I am phenomenal.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, we've been talking about being a podcast. Well, let's be honest. Tim's been talking about doing a podcast for quite a while, and he's been putting the screws to me for a while. So there's a lot of things about this industry that people either don't talk about or keep to themselves. And also, we are some of those people. So this is kind of a way to talk about those things and put out some tips, maybe just put out opinions, whatever. But not just talk about pop culture conventions, but also talking about just pop culture related items and how they relate to pop culture conventions and our industry that we take part in. So I guess the first part, of an introductory episode is to tell you guys a little bit about us. So Tim, why don't you kick us off? What was your background in conventions?
So I would say most people in our world, I started as a fan. I was going to cons back in, I'd say the mid 2000, early 2000, 2007-ish. I definitely got kicked off on the art side of it from day one. Second I walked in my first August Alley, I was like, there's more to a con than just buying some toys and some comic books. That's all I thought it was. They had some celebrities, they had some this and that, but nothing what I thought it was going to be like artists. I fell in love with art right away. And so I've always been an art guy, but didn't know that, like, hey, there's actually some really cool art for us nerds, not just other art, like a museum. Like, this is almost like a museum with anime art, gaming art, comic art, pop culture. I had everything under one roof. I was quite surprised. And then I started helping out one of the artists, because the one thing I noticed is all of our lovely artist friends aren't always the best business people. I think it's not wired for them, whereas I'm not talented in art in any way, shape, or form. But I love business and I love art. And so I basically started my own thing/art company, small business, whatever you want to call it. And here we are, 15 years later. And it's been, I have 3 studios I've worked with, got dozens of artists, whether it's a small project, large project, one show for 10 years. It's been all over the place. And I love this industry. I've been in this industry since 2009, I would say officially, full time since 2011, which makes us going on a baker's dozen years we're on here. And I met you 10 years ago in Minneapolis, I believe it was, when Wizard World Minneapolis was like, I think their first Wizard World in Minneapolis way back in the day. Yeah. When they put on the con right next to the other convention that was actually right. And we got in your beater car and you took us to dinner, and I thought I was going to die.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are the perfect kind of cars.
Yes.
Now, you didn't just do art stuff as well. You've run some actual conventions as well. Tell us a little bit about those.
So I first started repping artists and kind of just booking them on events and helping them with marketing and doing a website and just kind of doing that whole fun side of things. And then it evolved into me managing some artists. And then it changes to me managing some celebrities and celebrity artists. And then I kind of got out of that realm when COVID hit. There was just nothing to do. And a couple margaritas with some friends. Shout out to Ariel, friend of the show here. I just came up with the idea to run an anime show because we looked at all the potentials of the markets that we're heading into. Ooh, man, I don't know, I mean, every day we were on Facebook sending us messages in these group chats and, oh my God, did you hear this show folded? Oh my God, you hear the show's not coming back? Or, oh, hey, they're pushing their shows back, they're pushing the shows and they're never going to come back, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And we ended up doing one small show and that's all we wanted to do. And now I run 4 shows called Anime Town Look them, please. All our vendor friends, we love you. So if you're doing an anime show, we have a show in Pensacola, Florida, Greenville, South Carolina, to the Utah and Baton Rouge area of Louisiana, down in the bayou.
So we got into the industry, I think, right around the same time, because I know 8 or 09 was the first mention that we got an art table act. But I'll back up a little bit. I've been going to cons since I was 13. Motor City Comic Con was always my a favorite con to go to. I grew up in Michigan when it used to be twice a year. Yeah, it was my first ever con.
Okay. My first show was WonderCon.
Sure, that's
way back in the day.
That was probably a good sized one anyway, even when you first started going.
So yeah,
Motor City was really tiny when I first started going. It was at the Dearborn Civic Center, and back in the early '90s, and then it grew and grew and grew into what it is today. Now it's a monster show, but yeah, I was going to those and ended up meeting an artist once I moved to Kentucky. I ended up meeting an artist through a Star Wars club I was running. And named Will Woods, and then he started doing some T-shirts for us, and then we started doing conventions together. I was promoting the Star Wars Club, he was promoting his art, so we would set up tables at different regional conventions in the Midwest. That's just kind of how it got started. So I started repping Will's art, and then he met his wife, Tyrene, and they are both the artists from New Step Studios, and I still sell their artwork today. Been selling it since... on and off since we started in 09, and then full time. Lord, it's been, I guess, 2012, somewhere in that range. So it's been
I
a very long time. It's actually over a decade.
A Facebook memory showed up for me in 2012. Was me and my boss taking a photo together my last day at work because I was leaving full time. So it was I think about a week ago, which is so crazy to think about that. I've been doing this full time for 12 full years, if not 13.
And see, in some ways crazy. It doesn't seem that long, and in other ways it just seems like it's been longer. But it's just the industry's changed so much since we all started doing that. Back then, there used to be a con season, which was basically March to October. And then, you had to really rely on your day job to get through the winter. And it's grown by leaps and bounds so much that you can now do it full time. So it's definitely been an interesting ride.
But you say that you're one of the, if not the longest person that was been full time repping?
Yeah.
100%. It's got to be pretty. I mean, I'm not that far behind 100%. You, but I think.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's people out here we've never met.
I mean, full time or
seen. I just don't. I don't know. It's a good question because I'm always amazed. Still meeting people in this industry today that have been like, I've been doing this for almost 20 years. You're like, what?
Yes.
Hello, I've never seen you. Or I've seen you, but it didn't register that I'd seen you before many times, So I don't know. It's a good question. I think honestly, most reps in this industry were not around before 2010, only because that's when the industry changed to facilitate needing reps. In other words, before 2010, it was like I said, con season, there was not that many shows. You could really do 1 or 2 shows a month and hit really the big ones. It wasn't like it is today where there's shows, there's 6, 7 big shows every weekend year round. So I don't think you really needed a lot of reps before 2010. Once 2010 hit it just changed everything.
Agreed.
So,
I mean, between you and I, amount of shows, I think probably combined over 1,000.
Probably. Just like shows you've been to. For sure. I'd say so. It's got to be.
Because you and I, you especially, me slightly less, but you and I have, I've been averaging over 45 a year for the last decade, and you've been averaging, 48, 49. My highest was 50 in 1 year. I think you did 52 1 year because there was one day where you did like a 1 day show 2 times, like back to back.
Right. Sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's got to be, those numbers have got to be up there. It's pretty nuts. I mean, it adds up. It really does. It's pretty crazy. But that's just that's part of this work, and it's not for everybody. Obviously, if you're in this industry, you already know it can be brutal on your personal life and your body and everything else. So it's definitely something that is unique. It's kind of like being in a circus. You set up and then do your shows, and then take it all down and head to the next city. So it's not a lifestyle that's easily accessible for the common person. You kind of have to have a mindset for it, but yeah, that's what we do. Also, I will add, I do also do a traveling blog. Well, I started that about 5 years ago, and I track down basically 80s, 90s, 70s, 80s, 90s relics from pop culture. It's kind of a retro archaeology channel, fast food history, animatronic history, Chuck E. Cheese history, which I picked up this little tidbit yesterday doing a video. Little. This
from a guy
giant
who's
piece,
6 foot.
this giant piece of Chuck E. Cheese art. No big deal. Yeah, so
what's your blog called?
It is called Sets, Streets, and Eats on YouTube, of course. And I'll put, links will always be in the show notes of our shows, and we'll put our website links and things like that. But if you guys are interested in hearing con reviews or tips for conventions or just thoughts on industry goings-ons, street gossip, pop culture, just stories, whatever, travel tips, there's going to be a ton of stuff that we're going to cover on this show. Really in a conversation format where we're just really talking about stuff. This show might interest you. We just kind of wanted you to get to know us a little bit, and feel free to like and subscribe this channel on all the platforms that you're listening to, on any of the platforms that you're listening to or watching. Don't be afraid to watch it. I know it's not great.
It's amazing is what it is.
Well, I can't make it better. I'm sorry.
I will.
I'll try to interest you. Yeah, look at Tim. He's a beautiful boy.
If not, you can look at my Taylor here.
Look at TS.
And if you don't like that, then there's
no
right
you don't
there.
like Swifty, you're just going to hate
look
this
at that. She's telling you to fuck right off. Right there, dude.
It's okay. You can stay in my side of the camp if you're not a huge Swifty.
You'll find out later on in this show that I am an absolute diehard Swifty.
Yeah, it'll come up, I assure you.
We're going to
go back. It only comes up in every conversation we're
going to go back in time on our 100th episode, 200th episode, 500th episode. Look back on the 100th. We'll have a count for you on my 100th anniversary episode. We are going to talk about how many times I wore a Taylor Swift shirt.
It's optimistic. You're actually going to be impressed that there's this many Taylor Swift t-shirts out there. It's really impressive.
There's a lot. Just
you own all of them.
Knows my wallet all too well.
Ooh, interesting.
Con
Culture Convo, guys. Give it a like, give it a share, and come back next week. Thanks.
We'll see you then.
See you.